If you ever wondered how to make your buds extra frosty, sticky, and loud, stick around. Today, I'm going to show you the tricks to maximize terpene and trichome development. Come on, but before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Recharge. If you want stronger, healthier plants, if you want bigger roots for better fruits, you gotta check out Real Growers Recharge. It's like an instant compost tea that holds more nutrients at your root zone, breaks those nutrients down, and makes them more plant available, getting more of your nutrients into your plants. Find out more about Recharge over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, Hassie, let's grow the dank.
Bro, who doesn't want those frosty, trichome rich? I mean, that's what it's all about,
Yeah,
right?
that's where the medicine's at, man. That's what we're doing.
Okay, so let's get into 3 tips for more trichomes, more terpenes, better, higher quality plants.
Yes. You want to talk about what a trichome is first, just in case, man?
Yeah.
It's the, I don't know, is it a gland? It's that little globe that is on top of that stick. If you look at it, that's where all the resin is. We call it a resin gland.
It's the like crystally, milky white looking.
Crystals, man.
Bro. Well, you know what? When you look at it with your naked eye, it does look all crystally.
It is frosted. It is really like a little bulb. It is like a little round circle, and that's filled with all the cannabinoids and terpenes, and that's really what we're farming there.
And the terpenes, that's where like the flavor, the aroma, the different hints and all of that stuff comes from, right?
Yeah, that's what we can sense, but what it really does, it has this synergistic effect with the cannabinoids. That's what gives you the high. That's why, THC, CBD, those are cannabinoids. Those are somewhat universal in all the cannabis that we grow. It's the terpenes, all the different terpenes is what gives you all those different buzzes.
Okay. Secondary
metabolites. That's what they call it. Oh, it increases your secondary metabolite production. That's just kind of code for making frostier, tastier weed.
All right. So let's get into it. How do I get frostier, tastier weed?
But before we do, let's talk a little bit about why plants produce these trichomes in the first place.
It's not just so that I can enjoy it?
Maybe. But what science says is it's sunscreen. Okay, so if you take a look at the leaf material, you'll see that it's covered in all these trichomes. That's sunscreen for the plant. It's trying to keep the light, especially UV light, off of those leaves, man, because that's what'll damage them.
Stops them from getting burned.
Yes.
Okay, doesn't it, because it's sticky, it also has another purpose, right?
Yeah, it's to attract pollen. Don't forget, this plant you're having it flower, and when it's flower, it's making itself sticky and sticky so it can attract some male pollen. In nature, it thinks, hey, if there's a female plant somewhere, there's probably a similar male plant somewhere. So yeah, that's what it's trying to do. It's a survival mechanism.
And then also, I think I read somewhere, I'm not sure about this, that certain pests are also repelled by the smell or the stickiness.
Nature's complex though, man. So certain pests are repelled by it. So, oh man, that smells. We're going to get away from that. When I say pests, I should say animals. Certain animals are repelled by it. Certain animals are attracted to it. Now, don't forget, if it's a male plant, what is it trying to do? It's trying to spread that pollen, right? Mm-hmm. So an animal going up and rubbing against it and getting pollen all over it, then running through the field of cannabis or having wind blow on it, that's going to keep the generations going forward.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that trichomes do, and we want them, and you're going to help me figure out how to trick the plant into producing more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right,
we can
so
do this, man. I've been studying this for a while.
Nice. Let's jump into the first one. Okay, so you were talking earlier a little bit about how UV triggers the trichome production because the trichomes act like a sunscreen.
Right.
I'm thinking if I'm growing indoors, they're probably not going to get the UV that they would get from the sun. Is there a way to use that to trigger that same sunscreen effect in my indoor grow?
Of course, man. Of course, somebody invented a UV bulb, right?
Okay.
Yeah, they've got we've all heard of them. I've talked about them a bunch on these shows. The UVA, and then the UVB is the one we've been talking about recently. I know a lot of growers, and 90% of them are saying when they use the UVB, they've gotten frostier buds. So I'm a fan of UVB to increase terpenes and increase trichome production and density. and size, by the way. Trichomes can be little or big, and all those are holding cannabinoids and terpenes.
And do you have to get a separate UVB bulb, or do they put them in the LED lights yet?
Not yet. UVB, the lower the wavelength you get, the more violent, or the smaller, the more action is going on that wavelength. So that's why UVB can really burn. UVC can actually, destroy and break up DNA. UVA, they're able to make diodes that last. UVB, they're not able to make diodes that last. They just burn out too quick. People are still using the fluorescent lights and things like that.
Okay.
And only for a couple hours a day. UVB, just like a sun lamp. When you go get a suntan, you go in for 20 minutes or something like that. Do they still do that?
Yeah.
But UVB, it'll burn your plants the same way. So it's not something you just leave on all day. You have to play around with it. I'm not giving you specific instructions because I don't want to hear in the comments, Scotty Real burnt my plants, man. But just play with it. There's a lot of really good information out there, especially from the companies that manufacture them. But yeah, UVB is a stressor, and I've talked to so many people. I don't use them myself, but they do bring on the frost.
Okay, let's switch gears.
Yeah.
Get completely away from lights and talk about nighttime. Are there things that you can do when your lights are off to increase trichomes?
Yeah. Oh, gee, we want to talk about environment? That's crazy. You know what I mean? It's huge, man. So, yeah, lowering your temperatures at night is another way to stress the plants. Don't forget, these plants are used to being outside. They are used to getting these signals from Mother Nature. So when the temperatures go down at night, it tells it it's stressing it a little bit. And then B, it's telling it it's later. It's getting into fall. I need to up my terpene. I need to smell more. I haven't gotten pollinated yet, all right?
Okay, so I got a question then.
Yes.
It usually gets colder at night as we get into fall. In the summer nights, it doesn't really get cold that much. So do we want to drop temperature only towards the latter part of flower?
Towards the end. Remember, temperature slows overall plant metabolism down.
Oh, we don't want to slow the plant down at the beginning of flower.
But at the end, it's pretty much done all its bulking. So what we're really trying to do is just coax those last little bit of trichomes out. And so they talk about a temperature, a day-night differential. You want it to get about 10 degrees cooler at night. It stresses the plant out. What it more does is signal that it's late fall, and that it's better just take its last little bit of energy, push as many terpenes as possible so we can get pollinated.
It reminds me of my cousin Vinny. My biological clock is ticking.
It reminds me of why I put on cologne before I went to the club back in the day.
Nice. Okay. So we talked about light stressors causing terpenes. We talked about cold stressors causing terpenes.
Sure.
You were telling me something pretty interesting about a supplement that you can add that causes a similar stress response.
Yeah, it's chitosan, and chitosan is made out of shrimp and crab shells, basically the exoskeletons. Guess what else is made out of chitosan? Bug exoskeletons. So when a plant senses that there's chitosan, it says, I'm being under attack. I'm being attacked by bugs. Let me go send out these terpenes and cannabinoids as a stress response.
So the plant can actually tell that there's, how does it tell? Do you know how it tells that?
It just knows, all right?
Wow.
I don't know how plants do a lot of things, all right? But it senses it.
And then it causes it to create
a stress response, yeah.
Okay,
and,
nice.
There's plenty of products with chitosan. There are plenty of people that are using silicic acid. You ever hear people say, "Oh, put an aspirin in your plants; it's good for your plants." That's that silicic acid, and it elicits this very minor stress response, and it is good for the plants.
Okay, cool. You've given me 3 really good tips to increase my trichome production all the way up until harvest. Now I want to hold on to those trichomes. What can I do?
Yes. All right. Just remember terpenes, that's what's in those trichomes. That's the magic that makes the medicine, or at least makes the medicine stronger. They start volatilizing off. We talked about they evaporate, whatever you want to call it, in the high 70s. So that's why any time that you can, if you take bud out of the refrigerator and try to smell it, It don't smell like anything. It smells very minimal. When you take bud out of, a drawer or a cabinet or something like that at room temperature, even at 78 degrees, right? Even at 75 degrees. So that's not magic. That's those terpenes volatilizing off.
Oh, so when I can smell it, that means it's losing its potency.
Where's that smell coming from, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that we minimize that as much as possible. So after harvest, you're going to dry and cure these buds, and right off the bat, temperature and darkness, right? You don't dry in light, you don't dry in hot temperatures, and that's all because you're starting to preserve the terpenes, or you're continuing to preserve the terpenes. Light will also degrade the terpenes. You got temperature and light. So yeah, we want to make sure we dry it in a dark place, a cool, dark place. That's where they talk about that 60-60 rule. And then we want to get it in jars and store it in a cool, dry place and in opaque jars. That's why people will have stickers all over their jars, but it's trying to keep the light out.
I've seen glass jars that are actually tinted.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen growers use those as well.
Yep, definitely. But the idea is that heat and light degrades terpenes. Hang on, I got one more thing. Don't be a terp burglar. I'll hang out and people will just open up my jar, smell it, and then leave the lid off.
Oh.
At room temperature, those terps are volatilizing off. So yes, don't leave the lid off. Try to keep a little bit of moisture in there. Just respect the bud. Respect the terps, man.
Well, I mean, we went through all this trouble to max out the terps. We might as well preserve them.
There's got to be a t-shirt already that says respect the terps, right?
If not, realgrowers.com/shop. We'll have it there.
We're making one. Yeah. I love it, dude. Hey, but those are my tips for more terpenes, trichomes, cannabinoid production. Come on, but what about you? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments. And come on, if you dug this video, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share and talk about this video with another grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending. I hope you'll dig them.